Okay, I hope. Can everyone hear me? I hope it's working well. Nice. Hello. So what I'll require from you in the next few minutes is to try to be quiet, because you'll see in a minute why. And I know it's been a long day already, but please stick with me in these next 20 minutes. Welcome to From Blind Spots to Bright Solutions. Let's experience inclusive learning. Quick hello from my side. I'm Anna. I'm the National Training Coordinator of ESN Austria. And I just love trainings. I just love sharing experience. And for me, the best tool to share experience is just experiential learning. I think the best way to get educated on anything is to try it firsthand. Kids put their hands on the stove and then suddenly they realize, oh, it's too hot to touch. That's how we learn. It's just human. So what I want to ask you is to please see for yourself in the next 20 minutes and learn firsthand what it means to be excluded. Because I think most of you are not the ones that are usually the excluded ones when it comes to visual impairments. The rules of the games are, you will notice once you wear these glasses that any talking is very much disturbing. Okay. What do you get? These glasses are rather special. So even for those that are already wearing glasses, I would recommend to take off your normal ones and put on the new ones. So I've got a tiny challenge for you. I want you to feel properly excluded for the next 20 minutes. And I want to see how many of you can actually do that. So I want you to keep on these glasses for as long as possible. Of course, if they make you feel uncomfortable, if you want to compare something, I have some slides. If you want to see them, please everyone be quiet. Otherwise, really, half of you cannot really follow me. Perfect. Thank you for that. I will show you some slides, but don't worry, there's nothing on the slides that you really need to see. It's just to trigger your curiosity, okay? So for instance, you will see slides like this. It is not an inclusive slide because these glasses are quite special. They give you 12% of your vision and they change the contrast. Everything that we usually like to read, if there's not a proper contrast, you will not even see that there is any writing. They're especially made for people like you trying to get educated on visual impairments. So first of all, I would like to ask you a question to get to know my audience. Can you please raise your hand if you have any kind of visual impairment? Any visual impairment? Raise your hand. Okay. Please raise your hand if this visual impairment cannot be fixed with wearing glasses. If you put on glasses, the impairment still remains. Okay. And then I would ask you, please, to raise your hand if you know any other person that has such a visual impairment. Anyone that has this kind of impairment that they cannot fix with glasses, that just leaves them as a part of society. Okay, this is quite an interesting result here, and I want you to be able to see it as well, or to hear it. So everyone who raised their hand for the last question, can you just say ahoy? Okay, so you can see it was quite a lot of people. And why is this? Well, now on the slides, you would see some really cool data I have found from the European Blind Union. It's super cool, lots of good information. I'm sorry that you cannot see it. So next slide. Just kidding. So what it says is that 30 million people living on the European continent have some kind of serious visual impairment. And when you look at that in numbers, it is 1 out of 30 people that has a kind of impairment. And out of these, the chances are 4 times higher that the person is impaired than super blind. These people can still see, you can just not see completely. So like you're experiencing now, none of you are blind, you can still kind of see what's going on. And of course, there's many different kinds of impairments, but I thought that is kind of a mixture. And what I want to do now is take you on a little journey. I want you to picture that you're leaving this conference and you're stepping back outside, but you cannot take these glasses off. What would the rest of EGM look like for you? If you have any presentation with sticky notes and flip charts, where you quickly have to find a partner to talk about your ESN experience, how would you want to meet that person? Whom would you approach? You cannot see their gestures, their faces. I don't know, would you approach me? And I don't know, if they would do a Kahoot quiz, I don't know if you can even see this quiz here, or if they present you amazing data. We all love data, especially in ESN. That would like this, or they present it in any other way. Absolutely ridiculous. Cannot see it. But also, if you would go back home, many of us are students. Many of us might have to write a thesis at some point. Would you be able to stare at your computer like this? Would you be able to do anything? Yeah. I could go on and on with examples. For instance, how would you go back home? Go to the airport. This is a screen telling you which flight to take. I don't know when your flight departures. Or in general, just socializing. Any social gathering you have, any friends you meet, you can see maybe some faces here. I don't know if you really can see them. Or of course, our favorite way to communicate in ESN, Instagram. This is currently the page of my local section from Instagram. It's beautiful, but I think anyone with an impairment would have the worst time ever to figure out what events we're doing. And to see that for yourself, I would like to ask you to take out your phones. Finally, we're allowed to use our phones today. Woo. And you can now either check out all of the new memes in the Telegram channel, or you can also try to scan one of these two QR codes. I want to see how you're able to use your phone. You can try to look at emojis. Come on, you've scanned so many QR codes today. And I'm a bit disappointed. I've been raising my hands and no one is following me, people. Come on. Don't you see me that I'm just raising my hands here? For everyone, scanning QR codes is super easy. We all need that, otherwise we don't get our sessions here. And of course, I could now go on and on and on and on and on, because there are so many examples that are exclusive. But honestly, I'm not the right person to stand here, because when it comes to visual impairment, I'm just not a person that is usually excluded. I'm wearing glasses, but my glasses help me to allow to join the everyday life. So I talked to one of our local students. She's been sitting in a wheelchair for all of her life. She has been born with 15% vision. She's been on Erasmus in Bologna. She's currently in her master's degree in Italian. And she's quite an amazing person. And I talked to her about all of her struggles. And I would love to share all of them with you. But first of all, I don't have the time. And second of all, then it shouldn't be me as the speaker. Then it should be her telling her own story, because there's no way I can replicate the feelings when she tells these things. The only things that I can tell her is that she faces many, many barriers as a student. When she wrote her master's thesis, she was not allowed assistance by her university, and she had to focus so much with her eyes that she lost the eyesight on one eye. And she's now in her PhD. She's still going because she loves academics. And she's currently thinking about going on Erasmus in Portugal. Super cool. Yeah, cool person. And I talked a lot to her and to our previous president of my local section, who's also visually impaired quite significantly. And anything they told me was the simple thing that you should be able to see in the slides. It's often one person and lots and lots and lots and lots of barriers, and then the rest. And there's many different barriers. And now this is the case for certain visual impairments, but it could be anything. And the issue is that single person has to currently climb over every single barrier by themselves. Sometimes they have someone to take them by the hand, but they have to climb over them. And in the end, they find this big group of people, but they don't maybe speak their language. That's like as if you would go all the way to EGM and then suddenly I would just speak German to you. Und ich weiß, manche von euch verstehen mich jetzt noch, aber ich glaube, wenn ich hier präsentieren würde, wäre das ein bisschen mühsam für euch. Yeah, so there's just these barriers that they have to overcome, that every one of us has to overcome in some stage of life. And so I kind of asked myself, what if this struggle would actually never stop? What if I would have to end this expo, have to finish EGM without being able to see? What if I would have to study? Would I be able to climb these barriers? Would I be able to really just try to live my life the normal way. I've been trying to write my master's thesis for a whole year and it still sucks. So if I can't do that seeing, I doubt I would be able to see that. And for anything, my job is just sitting at a computer. I would struggle. And actually 75% of people with visual impairments in the working age don't have a job because they can't get educated, because it's currently the fighters with many, many kinds of disabilities in general that you have to fight to be kind of active in society. And that's the fighters that make it. And honestly, I would not be a fighter. I would just lean back, relax, and not get educated, which is sad because I studied environmental economics and I think I'm quite good at my job. And I think there's future lawyers sitting here, future doctors, future students in all kinds of fields. And I think it would be a pity if all of you couldn't take off these glasses in the end, and if you would have to stay like that. Luckily, we can take them off, which is super nice because this session is called From Blind Spots to Bright Solutions. And I don't want to just leave you people all frustrated here. And I was sitting at home for a long time thinking about the super bright solutions I can present you. But as I said, I'm just a national training coordinator for a random student organization that most Austrians have never heard about. I'm a local student. I'm not someone with visual impairments, so I cannot really tell you a lot. But I can tell you what I try to do in the field that's possible to me. Over here, if you want, you can see it. If you don't, it's good. Is a picture of me with my Erasmus students, my team members, and the girl that taught me a lot about visual impairments. We are doing each semester a session where we do an accessibility check on campus. We take international and local students, and we try to navigate around campus just the normal way we usually do, just they can't see it, and they're using a wheelchair. And it's just a teeny tiny thing that doesn't really impact society as a whole, but it's something that we do. And actually, even if one out of these people get back home with just some kind of awareness for visual disabilities, I'll be rather happy. Yeah, we're just walking around campus for a long time, but as a national training coordinator, I also wanted to educate my fellow ESNers. And as I said, I love experiential learning. So at our NA last year, I told the people that one of them in the session cannot see, one cannot hear, one cannot speak, and one person cannot use their hands. And they didn't manage to achieve any of the goals set in the workshop because it was just so hard to communicate. But even that tiny thing led to my volunteers being a little bit more educated on visual impairments. So when we talk now about that one person and the big fence against the rest of society, over here you're experiencing visual exclusion, but it could be anything. And you could be that person on the other side very, 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 very easily. And the question is now, how can we as society try to either make this small barrier smaller and smaller and smaller? How can we bring people closer together, step into their shoes for a second and try to experience more? Or how can we just be an inclusive society? And this session is called From Blind Spots to Bright Solutions. Let's experience inclusive learning. And honestly, I just don't think that we're there yet. I don't think that ESN is inclusive. I don't think universities are inclusive. I don't think education is inclusive. It's super sad to say, but look at you around you. We're not super inclusive at this conference either because there's just some impairments that we're currently not targeting. And as well, yes, we might be super inclusive, but there is no one there because there's too many barriers to face before actually getting there. And the ones with us, they're fighters. So what I would ask you to do, I know it's super scary, and for this whole weekend, we'll just listen and learn how many ways there are to be excluded. And we cannot tackle all of them. But luckily, we can take off our glasses and we can become future doctors, we can become future lawyers, we can become future social workers. And within our small area, no matter where we are, we can leave some impact. And even if it's just like me doing a small event and slowly trying to figure out what to do, it's still some impact that you will leave behind. So I would kindly ask you to spend the next few days just listening to all the different problems and not be overwhelmed by them completely, because I know it is super, super overwhelming. And then just go back home and figure out what you want to do in your local section at your university. maybe ask them if there is some students that have any kind of impairment, and just ask these students how you can help them. Because I have no clue how a section works in Italy, and I have no clue how a board manages things. But I know that I now have a new member who also is very visually impaired. And I want her to feel the most welcome in our network, and I want her to feel like that at the next EGM, she dares to go here without any worries. And so let's all work together in our small sections to just get a little bit closer to an inclusive world. Yeah, thank you for joining. Yeah, and that was faster than expected. So we even have time for comments and everything. Thank you, everyone. I'm very happy to see that so many of you managed to keep the glasses on. At the end of the session, I would ask you to put the glasses back here, because they're available for the whole rest of the conference. You can pick them up at the info point, and you can use them throughout the whole EGM if you want to go to any workshop, to any session, to not experience something like this, but to really just sit there and see for yourself for a second, because I think experiential learning is just the best. So do we have any comments, questions, remarks? Thank you, Aurélie. Okay, nothing? Okay, then let that sink in, and have a good evening, everyone. Looking forward to see you at the international dinner. Here's an Austria table. It's going to have amazing food. Nice. See you later.